Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another cast from the Premier League 4, and yeah, another cast from this tournament, as this is one of the only major Western online tournaments that's still going on. And, I don't know, I might have to cast some G1 matches. I don't usually like to do that because Luminous and LD already do that, and I am affiliated. Well, I'm not really affiliated with them, but there's sort of like a tacit agreement not to cast any of those matches that they've already casted. But I might have to cast some of those matches, who knows, but right now, there's definitely gonna be a lack of games coming up this week. And yeah, but this is going to be a match between Kaipi and Absolute Legends. Absolute Legends looking quite sharp. They have been doing quite well. I mean, you saw the Recall EMS matches I uploaded about a week ago against Team Liquid and Navi where they beat them. And they have been invited to the first stage of the qualifier for the G1 League. Also, Kaipi has also been invited as, oops, my headset slipped off my face just for a moment right there. But yeah, Kaipi's been invited, Absolute Legends have been invited for the Stage 1. They have to face up against teams like Empire, Dignitas, Virtus.pro, some of the strongest teams in the Western scene, so we'll see if they look pretty sharp because those qualifiers are coming up relatively soon. Meanwhile, Kaipi replaced Pain in the Premier League 4 because Pain is having some roster instability issues, so Kaipi got invited to more tournaments, so good on them. Anyway, so far it seems rather standard picks and bans. Keep in mind, Western scene definitely places a higher priority on Gyrocopter compared to most other teams. And this is game 3, so I don't know if Gyrocopter absolutely wrecked Absolute Legends in the first matchup. Maybe they don't like to use it. I'm not too sure. But Absolute Legends, they like to use Gyrocopter in different capacities. They are one of the few teams who still run Gyrocopter support on a regular basis. And looks like they're playing with the Sten today. Unicorn XOXO is standing in. But now we have Jolene XOXO, so maybe related? Probably not. But yeah, just looking at the picks and bans, it is going to be a Wisp first pick, so Io will be the choice for Absolute Legends. Meanwhile, Kaipi going to respond to Chaos Knight. Chaos Knight has been receiving a bit more attention. He's still very powerful and very prominent in the Asian scene, even without Wisp, because Wisp is very rarely picked in that scene. But pretty much if you get Wisp Chaos Knight on your side, it's just so difficult to plan for that combination. It's very difficult. You have to pretty much design your whole team around Wisp and countering him. And Wisp Chaos Knight is just probably the best duo in the game. They are literally BFFs. So if you manage to get paired up against that, then you will have a very difficult time. But Kaipi just going to choose to ignore that combination altogether, pick up the Chaos Knight for themselves, and say, what are you going to do about this now? So Absolute Legends might have to go with something like a Tiny, maybe a Lifestealer or a Ricky, like No Time to has been doing. They've been doing with Ricky from time to time. But AL instead picking up Darkseer as well as Rubik. Darkseer is definitely, not really faded out, but he's definitely picked in a lot lower priority compared to heroes like Wisp and other heroes like that, just because if you shut down Darkseer in the offlane, his jungle farm, although it is fast, he gets more levels than gold in the offlane, and he doesn't really have an impact until around level 8 where he can get those team fight abilities going. Maybe not even until level 11 where he can get that first level of wall up and have a mechanism. So you can pretty much ignore Darkseer for the most part if you manage to shut him down in the offlane for a good chunk of the early game, where a lot of these games have been decided around the early portion of the game. Meanwhile, Rubik is definitely probably the most versatile support in the pool, Keeper of the Light. Interestingly enough, not being picked or banned at the moment, so Kaipi may don't have a place for Keeper of the Light in their lineup. Absolute Legends, they already have their support in the form of Wisp, and they picked up Rubik as well, so they have a lot of versatility on their side. But they are lacking the burst damage, and Kaipi going to pick up Leshrac. And this seems like a very Asian draft except for the Wisp, seeing Chaos Knight being picked up in such high priority. Leshrac, no Keeper of the Light pickup just yet, so I guess neither team has a place for Keeper of the Light in their lineup. Both teams already have their supports. Well, Kaipi could still use a support, and I think Keeper of the Light could be an appropriate ban for Absolute Legends here if Kaipi does want to go with the Keeper of the Light choice. But Absolute Legends gonna ban out Bane. They know the Bane combo with Magnus and Leshrac does a whole lot of damage, and they already have Darkseer on their side. They don't want to give up more sort of setup abilities if you already give up Magnus as well as Leshrac. And Chaos Knight, naturally tanky, can just charge into the midst of everything and dish out chunks of damage. But yeah, as the picks and bans go through, yeah, I'm back. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little mini clip. Didn't really have much time to record anything yesterday, so I just uploaded that little mini clip that I recorded at my friend's house. Hopefully like that, and I will be at Rochester in a week and a half. So yeah, you should be looking forward to that. If you're in the Rochester area, then say hi. Lumi will be there as well, Envy will be there, so great chance to meet and greet, as this will be my first line appearance, so hopefully it should be a fun time. Also, I haven't actually played Dota in a while, so I have no forthcoming episodes of Off the Mark, and I probably will try to record 1 or 2 games for Friday and try to keep up the schedule. I already know I messed it up, but I mean, yesterday was April Fool's Day, so I threw in a little bit of a joke video. But yeah, I might have to play 1 or 2 games, even though I haven't played it in a long time. But yeah, so I'll try to keep Off the Mark up on the schedule. And the music video with SDG is almost very close to being done, so you can look forward to that very soon. So a lot of cool things happening pretty soon. I know I always say that, but thanks for the support, guys. It really means a lot. So Absolute Legends banning out the clock as well as Keeper of the Light. They know that Kaipi probably learning Magnus in the mid lane, and they know Keeper of the Light pairs quite well as the last support in the tri lane for Kaipi. So makes sense to ban out those 2 heroes. So Kaipi need an offlane hero. Magnus does not do that well in the offlane position, just because teams have figured out how to deal with them. You just sort of run him away, force him to use the skewer. Skewer has 30-second cooldown, and then when he's skewered away, he doesn't really want to approach an experience range to sort of get gold, get his ball, get his arcane boots. Magnus is pretty item dependent, so he pretty much can only be run mid successfully these days, it seems like, in the Western scene. And Kaipi getting out of the puck, noticing that AL does not have a mid-solo position just yet. So Absolute Legends, right now they have very versatile picks, but where is the damage going to come from? They need to pick up a lot of damage, and they need to pick it up fast, because right now, the only source of reliable damage is probably like Fade Bolt and Vacuum, with some Ion Shell trickle damage here and there. Other than that, they really are not doing too much, and they're going to pick up Tiny, which is definitely one of Wisp's best friends, but I think Wisp's best friend, BFF, has got to be CK. So Tiny, obviously a little bit miffed, but hopefully they can lay the smackdown and show that he is actually the one true friend for Wisp, and Chaos Knight will have to be sent back home. But AL going with a really passive lineup, I feel like. Darkseer needs a lot of levels and a lot of time. Wisp is one of those supports who does not do particularly well in the early game. He needs to get level 6 going. Rubik needs some time to build up. So I don't expect Absolute Legends to start roaming anytime soon. Meanwhile, Kaipi definitely can get a lot more mid-game damage going. Tiny does throw out a lot of mid-game damage, but he usually builds towards the late game just because the late game is so incredibly powerful. And one thing good about Tiny is that Chaos Knight, if he manages to get that Phantasm up in Reality Rift with the Manta style, Spike Carapace, or sorry, Craggy Exterior will just stun those Chaos Annihilations from time to time and just reduce a great portion of that DPS. Meanwhile, Kaipi gonna pick up the Visage, so they're going all out aggressive early to mid game pressure, which I like a lot. Darkseer can't really do anything about that. Wisp can't really do anything about that. Rubik, for the most part, can't do too much in providing damage. Tiny, if he wants to do damage, might have to go for a bit more of a caster heavy build. So Absolute Legends' last pickup needs to have some sort of damage, otherwise I feel like they're gonna be in a lot of trouble in the laning stage if Kaipi starts applying early game pressure. So yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see what Absolute Legends picks up here. Darkseer offlane. So Absolute Legends needs a mid, and the only mid that I can see that can do a lot of damage is Queen of Pain. So I don't know if Kaipi are figuring that Queen of Pain will be the logical choice here. They have some heroes that can do quite well. They have a lot of lockdown, and they have some slow by Visage. If they manage to get a Chaos Bolt, RP, Split Earth, or anything like that, Queen of Pain should just die to the immense amount of burst damage pumped out on the side of the Kaipi squad. But yeah, it seems to me Queen of Pain makes the most sense here, unless you run a mid-solo Tiny where you could run potentially another carry, but if you do that, I feel like the farm will just be too spread thin because Darkseer, if he gets driven off the offlane, he will have to go into the jungle. He's going to be useless. If you pick up another hard carry, then you're really relying on Tiny to do pretty much all of the work in the mid-game. So I think Tiny will be the hard carry for Absolute Legends, so they definitely need a mid right here. And meanwhile, for the side of Kaipi, they need an offlane. And who's left in the offlane position? Not too much, but Kaipi, since they have Visage as well as Chaos Knight, they could potentially run an aggressive trial lane, and since they are on the Radiant squad, it's a bit easier. in my opinion, just to sort of pressure the other team, just because the jungle paths are a little bit wonkier. Although if Darkseer retreats to the jungle, that can make lives a lot more difficult, but if Darkseer is in a 1-1-1 situation, he'll just creep skip and do that. But Absolute Legend's going to pick up the Tidehunter. Interesting. So where's the damage going to come from? They really rely on Tidehunter, Anchor Smash, as well as Gush to do a lot of the damage. But Absolute Legends, one of the good things about their lineups is that it's really tanky. Tidehunter, very hard to bring down, does a lot of AoE damage. And if you manage to get everybody into a vacuum combination with the Wall, Avalanche Toss, the Cleave by Tiny, the Ravage, the Tether Stun, it could just be absolute mayhem. And Kaipi gonna pick up the Storm, so that makes a lot of sense. It's gonna be Magnus safe lane, Aggressive Child with Chaos Knight, and Storm Spirit mid. Interesting that Envy is playing the Storm. Maybe he's gonna play safe lane Storm, I'm not too sure. And Migo's picking up the Rubik, so this is going to be a mid-soul Rubik rather than a mid-soul Tidehunter. I think in this situation, you want to get that Ravage up ASAP to sort of help relieve some of the pressure, so I'd rather Rubik be sort of a support, but if you manage to get that spell steal off, if you steal something like a Soul Assumption, or the Ball Lightning, or even the Edict or Split Earth or anything like that, Shockwave could be quite nice as well. The sooner you can get that up, the better, and that'll just be an additional damage output. But Absolute Legends, they're going to have to weather the storm in the early stages of the game, and keep in mind, Kaipi, they have Reverse, they have Storm, Snowballs, they have Chaos Knight, so they aren't doing too bad in the late game, but overall, in the grand scheme of things, Absolute Legends should theoretically have the late game advantage. So now is as good a time as any to introduce the players and teams. We're going to have Rise playing the Wisp, Stan and Jolene, XOXO is playing the Tiny, Miracle is playing the Tidehunter, Mania is playing the Darkseer, and Niggle is playing the Rubik. Me on the side of Kaipi, we're going to have Zizo playing the Visage, Arise is playing the Magnus, Pilatai is playing the Leshrac, Bone 7 is playing the Chaos Knight, and Envy is playing the Storm Spirit, and yeah, it is going to be safe lane Storm, as he's not going to go for the fast bottle, just picking up Balara regen, picking up 2 cells in case, for some reason, Absolute Legends decides to run an aggressive challenge, which they won't. They know Miracle is playing the Tidehunter, Wisp is not the best aggressive challenge hero whatsoever, and they have Leshrac, Visage, and Chaos Knight. Their aggressive challenge on the side of Kaipi should do a lot. So it's up to Mania. He picked up 2 Clarities as well as Stout, so I think he should be okay. He has a lot of regen. If he wants to creep skip, he could potentially do that. And I think that's why Envy picked up so much HP regen, because he knows the Darkseer does have the potential to creep skip right here, and Storm can function reasonably under the tower. His nuke is very low in terms of mana cost, and it can be spammed relatively easily, but he still will take some chunks of life, or take some damage in terms of the HP regen. Not too sure I'm saying chunks of life, probably because I've been watching some fighting game tournaments. It's just so much fun to watch. But we are going to in fact see a tiny mid lane, saving it for a fast bottle. So are we going to see a farming Tidehunter? He has a Stout Shield. Migo is playing the support Rubik. This is really odd by Absolute Legends. I'm not too sure if they've been doing this throughout the series, but I have not seen Migo not play mid for Absolute Legends in a long time. So Jolene XOXO is going to be playing mid against Magnus. Magnus, not really the best physical harassment, so Tiny should be okay. He has good HP, and he's already going to get an Avalanche, but I don't think he picked up any CS with that. No, he didn't. And now he's going to be out of mana, so if they come gank him, he's pretty much done. But look at the wards being placed by the Dire. They have, you know, reasonable ward coverage, and by reasonable, I mean they have 1 ward. Meanwhile, this aggressive challenge will just get beaten down. I think, in the grand scheme of things, this makes a bit more sense, because they know, I think they knew that Kaipi would run an aggressive challenge, and they know the Leshrac Visage combination would just burst down Tiny. If Tiny gets no farm in the early game, there goes all of Absolute Legends' chances completely out of the window. So at least in this situation, you can have Tiny get some farm. Tidehunter doesn't really need that much farm, he just needs some levels, which he will be getting. If he can take some farm, all the better, as he's going to get stunned in place. Only in 1 second is done, but Soul Assumption, Zizo is going to get lifted up into the air. Can he get in range of the Soul Assumption? It has quite a long range, but it's ticking out ever so slowly. He does manage to get the last hit. Nicely done, as that range of Soul Assumption is so ridiculously long. A little bit late on the tether by Wisp, and Tidehunter is going to die, but I guess it's better to have a Tidehunter die than your mid-soul Tiny, or a Tiny, who's pretty much your only reliable late-game DPS. Meanwhile, Mania just doing some creep skipping. Already forced to use his salve as well as 2 of his tangos, but should have his soul ring up relatively soon, so he should be fine. That soul ring passive HP regen definitely gonna go a long way. Envy forced to use 2 of his tangos, but seems to be winning the regen war, even though Mania is taking more of the creep wave, obviously, because I mean, the tower can tank some of that damage. But you can see Envy can't even go to contest Darkseer whatsoever. I don't think he even wants to. He just wants to get the farm going up on Storm. And yeah, I don't know if this is a strategy that Kaipi has practiced before, because I'm not too sure if Envy's been scrimming with Storm, but it seems to be the case here. Storm in this game does a reasonable job. If he manages to get the zip in and silence somebody like the Darkseer with an Orchid, that would be very, very good. As a skewer backward onto Jolene XOXO, he's going to take a lot of damage because Tiny, keep in mind, has 0 base armor. So he's going to take a significant amount of harassment from the tower, but still has that bottle online as well as Salve and a Tango. Should be okay. Meow de-warding going on all across the map, and unfortunately for Absolute Legends, their auto attacks are a little bit too delayed because these guys were just a bit too closer to the ward and they initiated with their own sentry ward. So that sucks for AO. That means their creep pull will be blocked. And meanwhile, Chaos Knight 10-2, Tidehunter 8-0. So not the worst result for Absolute Legends thus far. And you can see the tankiness of Tidehunter really coming to play right here. No points to Kraken Shell just yet. Instead got 2 points to the Anchor Smash in case they... I mean, Anchor Smash is a pretty strong defensive spell because it reduces the attack damage by quite a bit. And Miracle just pushing out the wave so Absolute Legends can do a creep pull, try to pull this wave into the tower, or try to pull this wave into the creeps, but I expect Kaipi just to kill this wave ASAP and then contest the creep pull. And you can see Mania, as soon as he runs out of regen, picks up the Soul Ring, is just going to stay in lane, pop double Ion Shell, and this is going to make Envy's life a lot more difficult. And the reason why Darkseer didn't do this before is that if he pushes lane a bit too hard, you don't necessarily get all the last hits. Keep in mind, level 1 Ion Shell, it does a lot of damage, but it doesn't do as much where you can reliably get last hits constantly, even with double Ion Shell. At level 3, or with level 3 Ion Shell, you can more consistently get the last hits with that Ion Shell. So definitely a smart move by Mania to go back into the lane. I mean, eventually Storm will hit level 6, and if he's at full HP, full mana, he will come and kill your Darkseer, who will be at half HP. As we hear the tether going out somewhere, I guess they tried to pressure mid a bit, but Magnus seems to be A-okay. Just going to bottle crow it up. So far a bit passive in early game, but there going to be initiation on the left track. He's going to take a lot of damage. Chaos Bolt's going to come in, but Miracle should be just fine. Splurth is going to come in as well. Soul Assumption draining significant portion of Miracle's HP. And Miggle, what are you doing, my friend? Wisp Tether is going to come in for the nick of time. Soul Assumption, not enough mana as Wisp Orb's doing so much damage. Bone 7 taking a lot of damage to the tower. Man, Telekinesis came up just off of cooldown, and that is going to be a huge win for Absolute Legends. They got a double kill. They did not lose anybody in the process. They're going to get a significant amount of experience. Tidehunter so close to level 5 already. Chaos Knight delayed his farm, only level 3, 3.5 at this point. And that was just a huge win. Really, really over-aggressive play by Kaipi right there. And they clearly thought they had the aggressive advantage, but still, you don't really want to dive when Chaos Knight is pretty much your only source of physical DPS come late game. I mean, you have Magnus with the Empower, but still, Chaos Knight wants to be in the thick of things and wants to get off to a good start because, again, the problem with Chaos Knight, in compared to most other late game carries, is that he has no flash farming spell. And that means that he can't really farm those big items unless he manages to get the kills. And meanwhile, there is going to be an attempt at a gank. Rubik is going to come into position, toss in, trying to pick up a Rise. They will pick up a Rise. Going to chain it as well with the Tether and the Avalanche. Nicely done. Skewer into reverse polarity. Kaipi, Rise going to escape by the skin of his teeth. Oh my god, just barely out of damage. And did he even bottle up? I guess he might have bottled up one. He escaped with literally 10 HP. That is so unfortunate because they devoted 2 of their supports, which means Tidehunter was not gaining experience in the meantime, and that means they couldn't contest the Chaos Knight whatsoever, and they lost a kill. And Magnus, already at level 7, gonna have his magic wand up, and will start getting towards Blink Dagger. Meanwhile, knowing that the supports are not in position, Miracle is gonna get drained, and the Soul Assumption will be coming through to finish off the kill. So Absolute Legends, unfortunately losing their support. Nicely done by Kaipi, recognizing the fact that the supports would not be in position. Perhaps realizing, well, they both have boots, but still, they wouldn't be in position to help out the Tidehunter since they were just mid. Meanwhile, an assassination attempt on Envy seems to be on the way. Mania gonna dive. They're trying to bait out the Ball Lightning, and Envy's gonna have to Ball Lightning sooner rather than later. And meanwhile, oh man, just barely out of range. Jolene gonna get surged up, but a little bit too scared to go back in to try to secure the kill. And that's a bit more wasted time. Tiny should try to be farming, but they pressured out Storm. They prevented his farm for a little bit, but that just means Storm can potentially teleport to another lane and try to get his gank party going. Gonna see a teleport top by Tiny, as he wants to make a lot of things happen. I think Absolute Legends knows that if they lay off the gas pedal for just a bit, they could be pressured down very, very quickly, as Zizo gonna be caught up with the avalanche and the toss, gonna take a huge amount of damage, and will just die to the Wisp last auto attack, and Miguel with the Fable helped to clean it up. So they managed to get something done, but again, devoted 4 heroes to picking up the support. Not the worst thing in the world for Kaipi. But it is nice to see Absolute Legends playing so aggressive with a very, very strong mid-game lineup. Or not really a strong mid-game lineup, but with a very weak early-game lineups. But they're definitely utilizing the experience on Tiny, and the fact that Tiny has not yet died. And at this stage in the game, Avalanche Toss will just do a immense amount of damage. An interesting build that he went for here. Went for the 4 Toss, 3 Avalanche build. Usually, Tinys these days like to get... what is it? I forget. It's 2 Avalanche, 3 Toss, 1 point to Grow, because Grow increases toss damage, gives you more move speed, and it makes the last hit be a bit easier. As meanwhile, Darkseid is going to get caught out. He will most certainly die. Vacuum trying to delay the inevitable, but Arise will pick up the last hit. But yeah, interesting skill build. I guess he wants to get as much damage going on as possible, but still, I think the extra move speed of the Grow will just help out a little bit more. And there's been a lot of calculations, and that is in fact the best build for Tiny, I think. Just to get 3 points into the toss, 2 points in Avalanche, and 1 point to Grow by level 6, as Jolene might be in a bit of trouble. Meanwhile, the top power is going to get pressured, so Kaipi going to have to make this gank go in very, very soon. Bone 7 lurking in the shadows, has treads on intelligence to maximize his mana pool. But the ward did spot the Chaos Knight movement. They are going to try to initiate on Bone 7. Here comes Split Earth. Bone 7, the vacuum, the Ion Shell, just doing huge amounts of damage. And man, underestimating Tiny's DPS by a lot. And wow, he did max out Avalanche instead of getting into a point to growth. Really, really interesting. But still, nice kill on the Chaos Knight. Chaos Knight, unfortunately, only 32 CS against Trilane. Definitely not the best. And really interesting to see that Tiny's roaming. I guess they want to get as much experience on Miracle as possible, as people have been suggesting the reason why Absolute Legends has been succeeding is that Miracle has switched back to support. But I guess in this game they're going to farm up the Tidehunter a bit more. And Tidehunter can definitely do a lot of damage. The problem is that if you get BKB, Tidehunter's damage just falls off the face of the earth. I mean, keep in mind Anchor Smash is physical damage, but I'm pretty sure that it does get reduced by the BKB. But meanwhile, the bottom tower is going to get cleaned up right here. Going to force a ball lightning by Envy just to avoid some of the damage. And Envy is going to go for the Orchid build. There's so many good targets to silence. You've silenced Rubik, the Darkseid, the Tiny even. That'll just make killing these heroes in the early stages of the game so much more effortless. As Absolute Legends trying to pull off the cheeky Avalanche or the cheeky toss into telekinesis combination yet again. But just a little bit out of position. Y'all, Tidehunter is level 6. He's going to try to come in with a Ravage. Oh, nice stop cancel by Miracle, recognizing that everybody was out of range. No follow-up. But still, Kaipi ultimately got away from the gank. They were successful, and they're going to push mid in the meantime. They're going to use Leshrak's Edict. 3 points, even though he was an aggressive trial. And sometimes, meanwhile, Tiny did manage to pick up a kill on the Magnus, despite Visage with the Grave Chill. But sometimes in a trial versus trial situation, Leshrak's like to get the Lightning build. But in this situation where Kaipi clearly wants to put on the pressure in the early stages of the game, I think the Edict build makes the most sense here, as this tower will just fall super fast. The pause is going to go through, and I'm just going to fast forward right through it. Let's see if the hotkeys are fixed. Hotkeys, please. Hotkeys are not fixed just yet, and that is kind of annoying, so I'm just going to speed up on 2 times speed. And we'll just look at this game. Right now, Storm Spirit going to go for the Orchid again. Very nice build. Chaos Knight pretty underfarmed at this point in the game. Leshrak just getting wards and stuff like that won't really have that big of an impact. Magnus getting pretty close to his Dagger. Visage not yet at level 6. We'll check out the levels, as there's going to be a reconnect, so that is time to slow it down. Man, I wish the hotkeys were fixed. But Absolute Legend seems to have a slight experience advantage. Rubik does not have Spell Steal up just yet, but other than that, they should be okay. Here comes a relocate in. Ravage going to catch 2 heroes. Nicely done, as Bone 7 will most certainly get cleaned up, and they clean up the left track as well. They lost the tower, but they got a double kill, and they might be able to apply a bit of pressure to this middle tower. So Absolute Legend is definitely playing on the ball right now, but there might be a gank attempt for the Darkseer. They are going to pick him off, waiting as long as possible. Envy might have waited a bit too long. Mania will just escape a little bit of miscalculation by Envy, and he's just going to teleport out of there. Did not see Mania teleporting from right underneath his nose. I'm sure Envy very, very mad at himself, as he beats himself up quite frequently. But yeah, just a little bit of miscalculation. They would have for sure gone Mania, but Mania just a little bit too slippery. Darkseer, a lot of regen. Darkseer already with the mechanism finished up. That would have been a huge kill if they picked up the Darkseer right there, delayed the mechanism. But now Absolute Legends could potentially even push, even though they don't really have the strongest mid-game lineup, but they won't want to push. They don't have Ravage up for a minute and a half. Meanwhile, what role is CK going to have in this game? I feel like he's just being shut down so hard. 0-3, and again, CK, if he gets off to a bad start, it's really hard for him to recover, just because he needs experience. He doesn't farm especially fast. He doesn't farm fast at all. And there might be a toss-in on Miracle. No, looks like they're not going to attempt that just yet. Meanwhile, Darkseer going to throw down a bit of harass and Mania, just making the lives of his opponents a living heck, as he has by far the highest CS in the game, 78 CS. Gonna be working towards this pipe soon, I imagine. Soul Assumption, Storm Spirit, Shockwave, all going to be very, very important to reduce the damage out. And Envy just going to the top lane. Envy has not yet died, but his CS has definitely been limited. Meanwhile, Wisp relocate gank in. If you blinked, you missed it, and I almost missed it, but you can guess what happened. Avalanche toss, and oh, Mania gonna get stunned in place. They might very well lose Mania. He's gonna get relocated out, but Tiny is gonna pay for it with his life. Bit of weird decision making, as I think Mania would have been more than happy to take one for the team. And that is significant, as Tiny was starting to become a problem. 1-1-5, 40 CS, and if he got relocated back to base, that would have been a bit more farm, but Wisp had to make a split-second decision. Maybe misclicked, because I think Darkseer might have been okay. He had the mechanism up as well as Surge. He probably would have died, but maybe they also prioritize having a pipe faster, and that will open up the map more than sort of another Ogre Club going for the Absolute Legend squad. Either way, L is going to push in. Ravage has just cooled down, and the Bird's trying to do some work, but the Glyph has already been forced. Meanwhile, the bomb tower is going to get sieged down. Paladai positioning himself so all the Edict hits the tower instead of hitting any of the creeps, but as it is, he's going to take a lot of damage. Here comes Avalanche, going to get tossed. Gush in place as well. Paladai just trying to waste as much time as possible, trying to get out one last parting blow of the Split Earth. Unfortunately, will just die, and Tiny going to take this time to farm up Miracle. Just going to teleport back, as he was already in position. Meanwhile, Wisp does manage to get killed with the Reality Rift as well as the Chaos Bolt combination. Meanwhile, Magus picked up a dagger, but against Tighter, one of the best counter initiators in the game, as long as Absolute Legends has the correct positioning, I think this Magnus dagger, it will still make a huge impact, but I don't know how much of an impact in the early game it'll make, because where is the damage going to come from? Zizo does not yet have a mana pool which can sustain so many soul assumptions. Well, he can sustain a lot, so maybe that's going to be a good option. And Absolute Legends just choosing to ignore this tower. Meanwhile, a huge mid lane engagement. Man, I am just going to jump back in time 10 seconds. See the relocate gank. Shouts to replays and Valve as Stormspeed does pick off. And meanwhile, Tiny's going to go back in, but Envy will get destroyed. Meanwhile, another teleport's just going to get teleported in. Will he come to feed? Cancels a teleport. Chaos Knight says, I do not want to be a part of that. And a good engagement of Absolute Legends. They had to blow the Ravage, but it was very much worth it. They lost a support Rick in exchange for getting the safe lane farmer in the Storm Spirit, and they killed the Leshrac as well. The 4 roll, I imagine. Maybe the 5 roll. And it looks like they had their eyes on Bone 7, as he's going to get chased down. Tiny does have an invisibility rune and has a lot of damage on his side. They're trying to get down Bone 7. Here comes Avalanche Toss. Chained pretty well. Vacuum. But the wall was just a little bit too late, as Mania no points into, or the Ion Shell was not in range to do enough damage. If they managed to get 1 or 2 ticks of the Ion Shell, I think they could have gotten the kill, but right now, that's a bit unfortunate. Keep in mind, Wall in the early game is not really the best spell to be using anyway. It has a 100-second cooldown, so it's relatively short. So I don't think Mania's too miffed that he just wasted the cooldown. Tiny on the other hand might be a little bit miffed because he could be using that time to farm up, but this time he's playing super aggressive, so I don't know if he's even worried about the late game. And now that Absol Legends have been getting their levels going, it looks like they're in good position as... Oh no, Tyrant are gonna get jumped on Miracle. Gonna get killed. Envy blocked by the Magnus, but an RP Blink right... Really nice play by Arise as Miggle will get cleaned up as well. No, Miggle has Arcane Boots. Envy not enough mana. Blink forward by Arise. Arise has no mana either, and meanwhile the Absol Legends squad is there to reinforce. Really unfortunate block as Envy clearly did not want to waste more mana, but Arise was just a little bit too fat. That Magnosaurus got to be put on that slim fast diet. Checking out the overall gold earned, it's definitely in the dire favor. They've cleaned up 2 towers. Meanwhile, Absol Legends, they have lost the same amount of towers as Kaipi. Experience graph in favor of the dire by a bit, and I think Absol Legends again in the late game do scale very, very well. And the fact that Chaos Knight is just not having a good game, it's really not too good. Envy has not been able to make too many kills happen on his side, so Storm Spirit, his Snowball, has definitely been delayed. So Absol Legends look to be in a pretty good position, but never discount RP and Visage. Some have been feeling that he's just one of the best supports in the game, one of the best heroes in the game at the moment. He just scales remarkably well. The birds might not scale well, but Visage, the fact they can throw down so many nukes in such a short duration, the Grave Chill just shuts down carries like Tiny so effortlessly until he gets BKB. That could be enough to allow Kaipi back in the game, and eventually Chaos Knight will get farm. But they really need to rely on clutch RPs by the Magnus. Unfortunately, RP is on cooldown and Ravage is up. They're going to skewer Tiny backwards as he's going to be out of position, but Miracle comes in with a huge Blink Dagger. Ink Smash going to catch 3 people. Envy is going to zip in on Miracle. Where is the damage going to come from on the side of Absol Legends? This was what I was concerned about. Where is Mania? Vacuum into wall, going to do a lot of damage, but where's the sustained DPS? They managed to pick off Visage. Meanwhile, Chaos Knight and Envy are on the run. I think overall that was a decent engagement. They're going to get the stun off onto Jolene. And Absol Legends, they didn't waste a Ravage, they used a Ravage, and they used the wall. But meanwhile, Kaipi, 1 for 1. They killed the tri-lane farmer in the form of Talented. They lost Visage, the support, who is going to go for an Aghanim Scepter. Interesting. But yeah, they didn't use RP, so overall, not the worst engagement, but this tier 1 being lost, going to be a crucial blow for Kaipi if they manage to give this up. I think they're gonna get in position to defend it. Beautiful RP by Arise. Envy gonna do so much damage. Avalanche Toss will pick off the Magnus, and meanwhile Wisp does okay out, but Mania is gonna get picked off, and Wisp just gonna have to forfeit his life. Miracle does not have the Ravage, and Splitter will just be in place. So really, really nice engagement on the side of Absol Legends as Miracle gonna have to bend his Wisp right there. Not too much he could do right there. As the RP was really, really nice to time. Absol Legends wanted that tower. They need that tower. They knew Tiny is not farming CS. He's just farming kills and farming heroes, or farming towers. So Kaipi took advantage of that. They used the glyph. They got a nice 2-man RP, and the damage was overflowing. Weird word to talk about damage. I don't know. My words not on the mark today, I feel like. Just a bit off the mark, so to say. Alright, I'll stop. But yeah, I think it might be time for Absol Legends to start farming up. As, did they get the tower at the very least? No, Leshrac denied the tower, so that is really unfortunate for the side of Absol Legends. They're gonna have the Aghanims up on Tiny, and it's a decent timing in the Aghanims for Tiny's roam this far, as he's gonna have it up in around 21-22 minutes. Well, he's already about 100 gold short, but if he dies right now, that could be a huge, crushing deficit. But what was important for Kaipi is that they managed to make up a lot of experience in that engagement. You can see they're actually ahead on the experience graph. Chaos Knight did not die. He got a lot of assist gold, got a lot of kills, and he is going to go straight for that BKB. Envy did not die either. Finished up the Orchid. So the fact that Kaipi won that in such decisive fashion. All they lost was a Visage in the early stages of that engagement, and they lost to Magnus on the back end. That's pretty much the best outcome they could have hoped for. They did not tower, they killed pretty much everybody, so Kaipi have to be feeling pretty good about that, and RP is already back up, but they are going to face a Ravage. And again, where's the damage for Absolute Legends going to come from? I don't know, because Ion Shell not really that reliable at this stage in the game. Rubik really needs to steal a very high damaging spell, but it's so difficult since the side of Kaipi is so mobile and pretty tanky. Visage, very, very tanky. Magnus, quite tanky as well. Leshrac, ability to braces as well as the Ogre Club. Kaipi's supports are actually pretty stacked, man. As it looks like both of these supports are splitting the war duty equally, so both of them can pick up the items. I like this decision quite a bit. Unfortunately for the side of Kaipi, the Agnum Scepter has been finished up on Tiny, and they're just gonna murder this tower. They don't want to fight this because they know Ravage is up, and without a BKB on the Chaos Knight, they can't really hope to engage it, so that's gonna be a free tower for Absolute Legends. And again, if they manage to let Tiny go unchecked for a bit too long, he will just punish them. But unfortunately for Tiny, he doesn't really like to build BKB. The problem with the Tiny is that he suffers so well from the attacks, so he needs so many items. He wants something like a Daedalus, he wants AC, he wants the Agnims, and he wants Boots. So that's 4 item slots right there. And if you manage to get something like a Satanic, as well as, I don't know, Mask of Madness, that's all 6 of item slots right there. BKB, really, he just relies on his tankiness and the Wisp Tether to really fuel his tankiness, but in this game, he's going to have to get BKB because Grave Chill will just sap away all of his attacks, so you can make him very, very meaningless in these fights. Oh, nice skewer by Rise. Going to skewer himself up onto a cliff. They're going to get the silence off to Jolene. The stuns are in place. Can Whisk get the relocate off? No, it is not in time. Rise going to be thwarted by a blink in by Miracle, trying to pick off a Rise. They will successfully kill a Rise, but now Miracle isolated up on the cliff. Magnus is going to buy back. He still has RP as Castle is going to initiate onto Miracle. Vacuum Wall, such a good location. Mechanism just a bit too late by Mania, a little bit odd. And now Mania's out of mana. Envy is going to come right back in, and Magnus is going to pick up the finishing blow, saying, "This is what you get, AL, for trying to fight." And really nicely done. You can see the farm of the supports just making them so ridiculously difficult to bring down, especially at a stage where Absolute Legends does not actually do that much damage. And I don't even think Kaipi don't even have mech up just yet. Do they even need a mech? Well, they're gonna get mech eventually as Envy's gonna zip in, silencing Rise. They're gonna pick off Rise right now. Can he tether away? He's gonna get bursted down by the Orchid. Leshrac in the meanwhile cleans up the tower. Miggle gonna be protected by a teleport in by Tiny, but Absolute Legends seems like he's gonna be in a bad position. Or Absolute Legends seems like they're gonna be in a bad position.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
CK getting close to his BKB. Goal graph and experience graph. Goal graph starting to even out, but the experience graph, it's going to be miles ahead in favor of Kaipi. This is really not going well. Storm Spirit has finally been able to get a lot of momentum going. Chaos Knight has been able to recover from his abysmal start. Magnus was forced to use a bike, but what more does Magnus need? If he gets Refresher, that's just gravy. And Absolute Legends going for a smart move. They're going to try to pick down Roshan. The Gush is going to reduce that armor and Tiny's attack damage. Going to allow him to clean up. And you can see Tiny just going straight for that BKB. He knows how important it is in this game where there's a silence, there's a stun, there's another stun, there's the Grave Chill like I previously mentioned. But Kaipi know what's up. They see the Absolute Legends were not revealing themselves on the map. Arise gonna take a lot of damage. Can he manage to get an RP off onto the Tiny? Gonna get the silence off. Arise does have an Orchid, but he is gonna die. Tiny still in place. They're gonna get the relocate out. Nicely done by Rise, as they're gonna manage to escape with Tiny. No buyback on the Magnus, and that means RP will not be up. And Miracle gonna have that Ravage up in about 10 seconds. So Kaipi gonna have to back off. They know Ravage will be up relatively soon, and I don't think they can contest this Roshan without the RP. So that is a huge victory for Absolute Legends. Even though they only got 1 kill, they got the Magnus, the primary initiative. They know Ravage will be back up. And without that, without any BKBs on the side of Kaipi, Kaipi knows they can't fight it. But yeah, like I previously mentioned, BKB first on Tiny, and Wisp will give him some attack speed, but not really enough that Tiny can consistently hit a lot of heroes. So that's going to be a bit annoying for Tiny, but still, the sooner you can get a BKB, the sooner you can go to work on towers, and at this point, Absolute Legends damage is starting to become a huge factor. Miracle gonna go for the pipe himself. No, Mania already finished the pipe, just a casual cloak, just to give himself a bit more survivability. I think Miracle might go into some sort of Shiva's Guard build, or might even go into Refresher, as that could be a viable option on Tidehunter in this situation. Wisp has some Urn, constantly fueling up the HP of himself as well as his teammates. And Kaipi, are they still functioning without a mecha? Yeah, interesting that Visage went up a point booster, not for an Aghanims, just to help boost his HP as well as his mana pool, because Visage definitely needs a mana pool to spam his soul assumptions, but still, the lack of mechanism on the side of Kaipi I feel like is hurting them quite a bit. And I don't know if, I think in this game you might want to get a late game mecha just because the wall, the vacuum, and the ravage, if you manage to mitigate some of that damage, you might be able to survive the initial combination with Magnus blinking back in. Envy, I think he's going to have to go for a BKB as there is nothing on the side of Absolute Legends that penetrates through that BKB other than the wall. But Envy probably won't care too much about the wall. So if Envy manages to pick up a wall, or pick up a BKB, he can pretty much go unchecked, has enough mana regen, and he is going to go for the BKB. Really smart on decision. And with the Storm going completely unchecked, that could cause a lot of problems, because Tiny won't be able to kill the Storm, Wisp won't be able to do anything in the Storm, Miracle can't do anything in the Storm. Who can actually hit the Storm? Not too sure. So it might be on Rubik to try to steal RP, but that's going to be a sticky situation just because Arise has been clutch with these RPs. Getting at least 2 heroes in every engagement thus far. Miggle gonna pick up his dagger right now, so that's definitely gonna make it a lot easier. But Storm Spirit might zip in and try to initiate onto Miggle. I'm not too sure. Meanwhile, Bone 7's finished his BKB. And this is the stage of the game where not too much is happening. Absolute Legends, they know they're okay in the late game. They have Tiny, probably one of the best late game heroes in the game, as Bone 7's going to initiate onto Miracle. Where's the follow-up DPS? Envy trying to get in position just a little bit too far. Bone 7 going to be thwarted in that endeavor. They didn't want to blow an RP just on a Tidehunter. And Miracle had buyback anyway, so good decision by the side of Kaipi. Just saying, Miracle, go away. You're not wanted here. Miracle just like, okay. But he's a Tidehunter, he doesn't give a fuck. But they're gonna zip in, trying to catch off Jolene. Will Wisp waste to relocate right here? He's gonna zip out, he's gonna sacrifice himself to the wolves. No, BKB's fished up on Tiny. I think they might want to fight this. Yes, he is still tethered up, but he's being completely pincered by 2 birds and the entire squad of Kaipi. And Wisp just decides, gonna give up on life. They know if he knew if he teleported Jolene back there, the birds would just go right through there. RP was in position. They would have lost the Aegis and Tiny a second time. Really no chance, especially since Absolute Legends was not in position to help reinforce that. So Wisp gonna die right there, but good engagement by Kaipi. Meanwhile, the wards, no wards on the side of Absolute Legends. Really interesting. Mania, do you have a gem? 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 Any gem? Gem? Gem on the side of Kaipi? Do you have a gem? Are you dewarding? No, gem was just picked up. Not too sure why our Absolute Legends is functioning without wards, but now it might be fruitless. I think they want to try to get all their items up ASAP and try to go for one big mid push with the Aegis, but they're going to be thwarted in that endeavor because the Aegis is going to time out relatively soon. Yeah, it's going to time out in about 30 to 40 seconds. Miggle, what did he steal? He stole Soul Assumption, which is a pretty good spell to steal, all things considered. But it ain't no RP. And yeah, I guess this is why Absolute Legends are not getting wards. They just want to stay up together, group up as 5, and try to push in. But Bone 7 gonna initiate with that BKB, gonna duke it out against Tiny. BKB. RP gonna catch 2 heroes, gonna catch the Tiny as well as the Darkseer. Darkseer unable to get his wall off just yet. Maniac is gonna get bursted down before he can cast Mechanism. A beautiful engagement by Kaipi thus far, but Tiny's still in the midst of everything. His Aegis is gonna go up. Nice dodge by Miracle, and Tiny's gonna respawn with a Vengeance, trying to initiate onto Envy, but Envy does not care. They're just gonna chainsaw Tiny down to oblivion. One more thwack of Envy. No, the toss is just out of range. And what a huge engagement Grave Show. You just saw how slowly Tiny was moving that giant club. But yeah, that's what having no wards will do to you. As the Rise was able to get a nice RP onto the Tiny as well as the Darkseer, and the fact that Darkseer could not get any spells off, no pipe, no mecha, no wall, no vacuum. That was what cost them. Otherwise, I think Absolute Legends could have definitely cleaned up that fight. They had the Aegis up, Miracle got a really, really strong Ravage, but all that focus being done on the Darkseer, really, really nicely done by Kaipi. So I don't know, Mania might have to go for a dagger, might have to go for even a BKB, as there's definitely a lot of crowd control in position, or might just continue to tank up. I think dagger is a viable option because there is Orchid, there are a lot of stuns in place, and if you get RP'd, no matter if you have a Piper mechanism, if you can't use any of those, then eventually you will get bursted down, no matter how much HP you have. And that is a huge victory for Kaipi. Now you can see the experience graph starting to spiral out of control. Goal graph should be looking, yeah, it is in favor of Kaipi, and they are farming the jungle of Absolute Legends as well as their own jungle and farming multiple lanes. So they're definitely getting goal advantage at this point. But Absolute Legends can't really do anything. They don't have a Ravage up just yet. And I imagine they do want to get level 16 up on the Darkseer. He picks up a VIP booster. Is this Atos or Heart? Atos could be a decent item. But the fact of the matter is that Kaipi is pretty mobile. Yeah, I guess Atos wouldn't be too bad in this situation, as very short cooldown, as meanwhile Kaipi gonna smoke up. They're trying to catch Absolute Legends out, they know Ravage is not up. Envy looking for somebody to hunt, is gonna initiate with the BKB onto Rise. Magnus is in place, gonna get the RP onto 2. Rise is gonna get picked off. Jolene, all his BKB timing is gonna get drained down. The toss, what a mighty cleave, but Miracle, no Ravage means that he can be kited to no end. Time2 does pick off a Rise. Miracle is gonna die. And really nice ganks by the side of Kaipi. That ward spotting out the positioning of Absolute Legends. Meanwhile, this ward by Absolute Legends didn't really see anything, and the fact of the matter is that they couldn't spot out the smoke gank. So ward's definitely playing a huge factor in this game, and the gem just means that Visage can de-ward it so easily. And this is pretty huge because now Ravage is going to be up, but he won't be able to use it for the next 40 seconds because he dead. But Roshan, luckily for Absolute Legends, cannot be claimed by the side of Kaipi just yet. And Tidehunter has a Sange, or Sange. Gonna go for that Heaven's Halberd for the Chaos Knight. Manta doesn't dispel it. I wonder if Phantasm dispels it. Probably not, because I imagine it's the same mechanism. And speaking of a mechanism, no, they're just like screw mech, just mass BKBs. Because they know nothing on the side of Absolute Legends again goes to that BKB, and Tiny's item progression has been slowed to an absolute crawl, so Kaipi looking complete control of this game. But again, they can't underestimate Absolute Legends' team fight. Even with a lot of BKBs, Storm has already been forced to use 2 or 3, well, just 2, so he still has 8-second BKB, still a large amount of time where he can zip around and do what he pleases. But Absolute Legends going to group up in their Death Ball. They want to push in. They know they have Ravage. They want to get some map control going on their side so they can take the next Roshan. There's going to be initiation onto Bone 7. Here comes Kaipi Arise. He's going to get disabled by the Tether. RP didn't actually hit anything. Vacuum really nicely done by Mania, but it's Chaos Knight going to go to work. Ravage is in place, timing it until the BK is timed out. And Jolene does pick up a kill, but it's going to be 3 for 1 in favor of Kaipi thus far. Arise trying to escape. Miracle does clean up the stars here. Miracle gonna go to work as he's going to pick off 2 of the heroes. Magnus is going to blink out of there as the wall was in place. Meanwhile, they want to pick off Mania. Miracle is going to try to escape. Going to juke once worth, try to go to work with that Anchor Smash. Oh my god, skewer the soul assumption. Can Miracle get one more Anchor Smash? Unfortunately, unable to pick off the last track. It's 4-2 as Mania going to go back in. Vacuum will seal the deal, but he's going to pay for it with his life. It's going to be a complete team wipe of Absolute Legends. They said, we have Ravage, we want the next Roshan, let's try to take a fight, guys. What they didn't anticipate was the BKB on the left track. Well, I guess it's already been used twice, but the mass BKs just delay that Ravage by so much. You saw Tiny take so much damage at the onset of the fight, and Miracle was just waiting until he gets a Ravage. And that's the difference between Ravage and RP. Ravage don't go through BKB, guys. RP, pretty good spell, and a lower cooldown, and it sucks everybody back in. I think it's pretty balanced. What do you think? What do you guys think? So Absolute Legends losing a lot of their momentum right now, as their momentum has pretty much decreased to a halt. They need to farm up Tiny. They have no choice but to farm up Tiny. He needs to get AC, and he needs to get very farmed very quickly. That was a decent team fight for Absolute Legends. They managed to get all of their abilities off, but still the BK is just a bit too powerful. You know, Kaipi, they should take advantage of this. Envy trying to make his way towards that Hex, and they're not trying to take down Roshan just yet. So it is up. It's for anybody to be claimed, or it's for anybody to claim at this point. As Visage picks up the Agnum Scepter. Agnum Scepter on Visage when you're behind, it's pretty much a waste because the gold will just be constantly be fed by the birds. But when you're ahead, those triple birds, it does a lot of damage, gets a lot of lockdown, and you can pretty much go unchecked in a team fight if you manage to get that triple stun off. And Absolute Legends once again grouped up. They have some ward vision. Visage has not yet made it to the rune spots to de-ward it up. Knows it's a bit dangerous. And the bird's going to spot out the movement to the Roshan, as they know what's going on. And I think Kaipi knows Ravage is not... No, Ravage is just up. So Kaipi, if they want to engage it, they could, but do they want to fight into Ravage? I guess they don't. Absolute Legends know that it's a bit too risky, knowing that they've lost the last couple of team fights, and Avalanche is going to whiff. Gush go down onto the left track. He's going to pop his BKB prematurely. They're going to zip down to Miggle. Nice RP. Going to catch Tiny as well as the Darkseer. Darkseer trying to get in position for the vacuum wall. Miracle waiting for the proper opportunity. The wall was popped very late, but now Tiny's finally able to go to work. But Chaos Knight at full HP starting to run rampant. And meanwhile, Mana, can he actually escape? Will die to one last Chaos Bolt. It's going to be a 2-for-2, all things considered. Considering the other team fights, where Absolute Legends got absolutely obliterated. Definitely not the worst thing, as both Darkseer and Magnus gonna buy back. No, Envy died. But I don't know if Absolute Legends can take this fight. They have Tiny up, but where is their crowd control gonna come from? They have Darkseer, but the wall is gonna be on cooldown. I don't know why Mania popped such a late wall. Wall does go through BKB. But side of Kaipi gonna try to secure this Roshan. Envy forced to use a lot of his gold that he was trying to save up for the Hex, but meanwhile, oh man, Miracle gonna blink back in, gonna get silenced, with the Kraken Shell should proc Relativity. It is gonna proc BKB Tiny, gonna go to work. RP, is it up just yet? It's not up. Nice vacuum by Mania. Wisp relocate out, and Darkseer is gonna get tossed into the midst of everything. Bone Sun's gonna take a sustained amount of harassment. Tiny just gonna cleave down those birds, one hit. Oh man, that Grave Chill, again, like I previously mentioned, is just wrecking Tiny. Envy is going to get versed down. Envy used his buyback, and that means this is going to be a Roshan for Absolute Legends. Wow, this is a game of highs and lows for both squads. Absolute Legends starting to recover a bit of momentum, and the fact that Tiny has not died in a while is very, very huge. You can start actually building an item, guys. You can actually build an item. And he's also going to get himself a nice Aegis for his trouble. And also very key for Absolute Legends, they fought without any of their big ultimates. The only ultimate that was expended was Relocate. Keep in mind, Kaipi did not use any of their ultimates. Only ultimate, well, I mean, their only major ultimate is RP, as well as Phantasm. But I think Absolute Legends definitely relies on their ultimates a bit more heavily.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And now that Ravage as well as Wall will be back up. I don't know if Kaipi can actually stop this push. Envy's dead for another 30 seconds. Kaipi does have the glyph. And the question is if Absolute Legends want to press the issue. As Ravage is going to be up. I think they do want to press the issue. The wall is up. They're going to go in. Darkseer going to pop the pipe. Actually does not even need to pipe. No Kalo here. Only lightning. And Tiny with that Agnum Scepter just going to go to work. Grave Chill again being casted. Just constantly draining Tiny's attack speed. It's going to take a lot of soul assumption damage. But look at Wisp with that Urn of Shadows just healing himself up. The mechanism means that Tiny essentially took no harassment. They managed to drain out 70% of the tower's HP for free. Overall, a nice engagement, but here comes the initiation. My Chaos Knight going to pop the Phantasm. Jolene trying to duke it out mono, but that's not fair. It's 3-1. Jolene's going to get bursted down. Envy going to isolate. Nice wall by Mania. Ravage is going to catch Bone 7. Bone 7 is going to die. Last track, not popping his BKB just yet. The Aegis has it. It expired. Ravage or RP only catches Miracle. Not the best Ravage. Miggle is in the midst of everything. Is going to get bursted down by Envy as Envy responds at the right moment. Mania is still in the picture as well as the Tiny. Envy, one more hit, will die again, but this is just such a chaotic team fight. Vacuum back in. Envy's gonna get sieged down, and now he has to get the heck out of there. Tiny has to get the heck out of there. No, the surge was just a bit delayed, as now Mania out of mana. Is he out of time? No Soul Ring. Does have a surge coming up. Gonna get rerouted. Where is the bird stun? Chaos Bolt is gonna be casted right in the midst of the wall. Mania, can you actually escape from Mania? No, he dies. And that's gonna be another team wipe in exchange for a Chaos Knight and a Storm Spirit. And you saw the power of a chaotic team fight. And we zipped right here. Focused on the Wisp. Focused on everybody. Absolute Legends want to fight a big death ball, but as soon as Absolute Legends backed off from that push, that was the perfect opportunity for Kaipi to strike. Kaipi definitely thrive in chaotic team fights in this situation. Magnus will probably always get at least 2, and he managed to get 2 again. Mania and Tiny always seems like they're getting RP'd for a large portion of these fights. But yeah, when Absolute Legends are not grouped up, their team fight prowess is just severely reduced. Fortunately for Tiny, he's going to have his AC. Meanwhile, Storm has died yet again, so his Hex is going to be severely delayed. And meanwhile, CK was forced to buy back, so his next time is going to be delayed as well. Leshrac trying to build towards his own Hex. He's actually going to have it sooner than Storm. Wow, this Leshrac just going to town. 7, 5, and 24. Paladai just loving the attention he's not getting and definitely punishing for Absolute Legends. That Pulse Nova, if it manages to hit for a long duration, definitely can clean up. Meanwhile, Tiny has not been able to farm nearly as effectively as they liked, and Absolute Legends, I don't know if they can push in, they don't have the Aegis, and if they fight another chaotic team fight, it's going to be maybe the end of them, as now they're getting severely behind in experience, and their item progression is showing it. They can see not too much item progression being made. Wisp is actually going to go for a Heaven's Halberd himself. They really want to shut down, I guess, the Visage. Visage keep in mind, Visage actually does a lot of right click damage. He gets a lot of attack speed, and Medallion with the minus armor and the birds just allows him to push out so much DPS. Visage, definitely an underrated DPS hero in terms of physical DPS. Meanwhile, Absolute Legends is taking control of the enemy jungle. But Envy gonna do the same thing on the top. No, just looking for a teleport in. He knows that somebody wants to get in place to deny the tower, trying to pick off somebody like a Wisp, or even a Rubik or a Tidehunter. Not too much Tidehunter can do against a fully charged Storm. But Absolute Legends is gonna stick together. They are going to lose this tower. Envy might just be able to push this wave and zip in. Glyph is up on the side of Absolute Legends, but if they can use the Glyph, I think that's all the better. As actually Kaipi going to smoke up. They want to get this tower, and here comes a couple teleports in. Tiny's going to join the party, and this is just exactly what Envy's been waiting for the past 30 seconds. But Envy didn't see him. He's going to just run in place, and now Envy has been revealed. Tower will get denied. They're going to zip in. Tiny does deny the tower. Here comes Magnus. He cancels the RP. Does get a second one. Magnus. Oh man, the Ravage did not hit anything. Everybody's BKB'd up. Mania once again not popping anything as he's going to be sieged down. Pops the wall and the vacuum, but it's pretty much all for naught. Tiny was bursted down. And now Kaipi look in complete control. Again, these chaotic teamfight engagements and the lack of vision. Absolute Legends, where is your vision, my friends? I think the fact that Visage has just never died. These supports on the side of Kaipi, winning them the game. They're just so farmed. Check out the net worth, guys. Net worth on the Rubik, and you can see the Leshrac is more farmed than the Magnus, and the Visage is almost as farmed as the Magnus. Meanwhile, the supports on the side of Absolute Legends can't say the same. And I think Kaipi going to take the third and final game of the series. Kaipi going to bring down Absolute Legends. Don't think Absolute Legends can come back from this. Tiny's still dead. They'll be able to get a triple Rax if Kaipi really wants to, but they're just going to play it safe. Go for the Roshan, which is down for the next 4 minutes, but why get too greedy? And can they pick off Envy? Envy just going to zip away. Miggle can't get the pursuit going. It's usually pretty easy to steal ball landing for the most part, but Envy might be doing a really nice job hiding it. But yeah, Absolute Legends, their back is completely against the wall. Not too sure if they can recover. Tiny gonna go for a Crystallis, but just these engages are so chaotic. And again, Kaipi just outmaneuvering Absolute Legends at every team fight possibility. So I'm not too sure what Absolute Legends can honestly do. They have to, if they group up at this point, I think the support just do so much work. Hex has been fished up on the Leshrac. Hex has been fished up on Envy. Visage gonna be so close. He might even get a Hex as well. And once there's, everybody has a Hex. As a, if you just disable pretty much the entire squad of Absolute Legends, they can't do anything. Meow Mag finished his BKB. He's used it in the last fight. These BKBs, just winning Absolute Legends in the game, pretty much invalidating Ravage. This is why you don't see nearly as much Tidehunter. Because why pick Tide when you can pick up Magnus? And yeah. Pilot Eye gonna spot the double dancer. Miggle gonna lift Pilot Eye up into the cliff. No, that cliff has been blocked. Bone 7 with one mighty crit does pick up the kill. RP Ravage did manage to hit everybody. Wallace in a pretty solid position. Darkseer does pick up the kill, and Jolene still at full HP, as this might be the fight Absolute Legends were hoping for, but Envy's just zipping around causing so much havoc, and the BK is finally expired. Bone 7 might just die to the wall of illusions. Magnus is gonna get back to the midst of everything, and Jolene will get cleaned up. No buyback, and this should be the game, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, they're just gonna go for the bottom tier 2 and try to end the game. They know Tiny doesn't have buyback. Well, they don't know for sure, but the fact of the matter is that Tiny couldn't buy back in that last base defense. Pretty much spells the entire tail. Darks are gonna buy back, but Darks are without wall doesn't actually do very much in terms of damage output at this stage in the game. And Bone 7 with that Empower just critting like an absolute monster truck. That heart definitely fueling up his incredibly long survival in that last engagement. And Mania gonna get disabled. Pop the Ghost Scepter. And it doesn't matter, because Leshrac does not care about your Ghost Scepters. Kaipi, man, their team fights were just absolutely spectacular. They just completely exposed Absolute Legends strategy. Even if their laning stages are not very pretty, Absolute Legends in the team fight just could not do anything. We see the power of Visage. You saw he was just able to throw out so many solo assumptions. The bird's doing a lot of work. The bird is the word in this game. And Leshrac, I think the MVP of the game was definitely the Leshrac. Arise held off the assault in the mid game with those clutch RPs, but Pilot Eye cleaned up house with the sustained damage of his Pulse Nova. So Kaipi gonna take this Premier League for best of 3 series. And Absolute Legends unfortunately gonna lose. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you enjoy that match. Might be able to bring you a Dota 1 match relatively soon, as I'm pretty sure some of you guys are pining for it. It's almost been a month since the last Dota 1 cast, so I should try to bring you that relatively soon. It might be a relatively older game, maybe from like 1 or 2 months ago, but still, it's better than nothing. But thanks for watching, and keep supporting me. I'll see you next time. Peace.